ljhstv, you are currently British champion, currently world champion, currently champion of champions, and you've just been competing today. How did it go for you?
Today didn't go too bad, thank you. Had to stutter stuff up and down the pitch.
You obviously enjoy competing. You've been competing from you were a little girl.
Yes, from I was about 11 I've been competing, so I'm coming 25, so it's a good number of years.
And how did you get into it from the start?
I'm actually from a marching band's background, so I play the accordion, and I wanted to do drum major in the accordion band, but I wasn't very good, so I went to drum major class in Beaver, and then that's where I started to learn the skill of drum majoring. And then from that they kind of roped me into coming and competing with pipe bands, and now I've been here ever since.
And how does it feel when you actually win a championship?
There's lots of emotions going on. The first thing is to phone home and tell people you know what you've got and things like that. There's a rush of adrenaline pumping and an excitement to hear if you're actually going to win it or you're not, and there's a sense of achievement when you actually do lift a title.
It's obviously a very well disciplined hobby, and I mean, watching the people out there this afternoon, I mean, they're all very, very disciplined. Is it hard to keep your concentration when you're actually on the field?
I suppose the older you get and more experienced you get in the hobby, you do learn to concentrate. You're in that little zone, as people would talk about. So you're in your own wee bubble and you're working away doing your thing that you practice week in, week out. Everybody's very well disciplined. It is a very disciplined hobby. You need to practice a lot and concentrate a lot, and even your presentation. I mean, it's very nitpicky about how they adjudicate you on your overall look and appearance, and also your performance on the day.
So in terms of the appearance, what are they looking for?
The appearance, as I've got a bit of hair here, the appearance, we get judged for dress early in the morning. At majors it normally starts at 10 o'clock in the morning, so I think on Saturday it will be starting at 10. And you go in and you march in your line, and basically they judge you from the top right down to the bottom, so from your head to your toe, and they're looking for a clean uniform, that your socks are level, that your flashes are running straight and your laces are at the same level. Very nitpicky, but it has to be sheer perfection.
Okay. And what about the calibre of competitors that we have in Northern Ireland today in general?
Northern Ireland drum majors are the top in the world in my books. When they say bagpipes are from Scotland, yes, originally, but I think we carry the trophies to prove that we're also just as good. The drum majors here are brilliant. It's a really good, lively sport, and everybody is so welcoming and friendly. Yes, you compete against one another, and when you're in the arena, you're down to work. But outside the arena, you have banter and you've good crack and things like that. There's no cattiness or anything like that. It's good. It's good sport.
Very good. Very good.
Alistair, you and Alan both have been world champions yourselves, and now you're both adjudicators. So could you tell me about the journey from being a competitor to becoming an adjudicator?
The journey has been quite a long one, and like both Alan and myself have been competing, or did compete, for a long, long time. I'll not just say how many years, but 20 plus anyway, put it like that. And yes, fortunate enough to have been world champion on 3 occasions, which certainly was a marvellous achievement for myself and also for Northern Ireland and for Northern Ireland drum majors. The transition over to the adjudicator side started whilst I was still competing. I attended the training course that was held with the RSPBA in Scotland, and eventually went through all the training sessions, got onto the panel, and I've been judging now for close on 10 years. And this year I'm delighted that I'm going off to the World Championships in a few weeks' time to adjudicate it in Glasgow. And it has been a good journey. Days like this can be slightly long at times, but we enjoy it. We've been there, and we like to give something back to some of the younger ones that are now coming forward and trying to fill what we have done before.
Alan, what exactly are you looking for when you're adjudicating?
Well, it's split into 3 categories. One is the dress, the uniform. They get points how well it's worn and if it's worn correctly. One is for marching and deportment. That's how neat they keep themselves, their drills, etc. And the other is flourish, which is the things they can do with their mace, like throwing it, putting it around their body. So there's 3 different categories in all.
And what about the calibre of competition that you get here in Northern Ireland?
But the standard of Northern Ireland drum majors is phenomenal. You know, they're in the last, I don't know how many years, they've always taken the world title. And as you can see today, from age 7 to, in fact, we have a drum major who's aged 80 today. So from 7 to 80, the standard is excellent.
Okay, thank you. Brian Wilson, you're 2 world titles and you have 12 major championships under your belt as well. And in February 2012 you also got another major achievement. What was that?
I got an MBE recognition for my voluntary services to music in Northern Ireland, and that was presented in February by Prince Charles.
Were you surprised whenever you got that?
I was shocked, I must admit, because it actually was the Queen's birthday honours in 2011. Well, it was 2012 before I received it, so yes, it was a big shock. Yep.
You compete in Northern Ireland and Great Britain. You're also an international competitor.
I am. About 10 years ago I started to travel a little bit, so I have a lot of friends in New Zealand, Australia, South Africa and America. So I've done that competition season for about 10 to 12 years now. I've had some success down under and I've had some disappointments, but I've had those at home as well. But there's a great camaraderie around the world with pipe bands and drum majors, where you can rock up anywhere in the world and say you belong to a pipe band, and there's a whole community where you can have friends to stay with, friends to party with, and it's a great item to be in. I have a lot of fun.
What drives you? What makes you want to still be in the competition?
Well, if you'd asked me that last year, I'd have said no. I'm not enjoying it anymore. I'm 23 years competing, and I've just lost my nerve a little bit. But this year in particular, I'm back to where I was when I won my first world title. I have a great passion for drum majoring. I love what I do. I can't say I love competition. Competition's only a small part of what I do, but getting a few successes under your belt this year has given me a real lift. I just love doing it. It's a great pastime.
You teach as well?
I do teach. I have at the minute about 20 students from all different sorts of drum majoring backgrounds, from accordion bands, silver bands, and then the pipe band competition. So it takes up a lot of my time as well, and it's great that I can pass on what I have done over the years to these young competitors or young people out in front of bands.
Roy McCulloch, you're a trophy officer and you're a champion in your own right, because it's really you that works tirelessly behind the scenes to keep all these trophies safe and clean and presentable, and making sure that everybody gets the right trophy on the day. Isn't that correct?
That's correct. My job is at the end, or the start of the season, is to get all the trophies back from the winners from the previous year. So they come in the first week in May. I check them out. If there's any trophies missing, then it's my job to chase after the bands, and that can take a week or take 2 or 3 months to get the trophies back. So when I get them all back, then I have to sort them out into various competitions, then sort them out within the 6 grades within each competition, and 4 grades of drum majors. So then near the competition I get them all out, I clean them all, put them into separate containers and bring them into the other competition to start it all over again.
And do you do this for every competition?
Every branch competition. There are 4 sections and they have trophy officers of their own, but apart from that I do all the competitions. So I've probably at the start of each year, about 350, 400 trophies in my garage.
And do you have to clean them yourself?
I do. Some of them come back clean, some of them need a bit of work, but it's my responsibility. You know, well, it's a job, it's a task I undertook, and I enjoy doing it. I work by myself doing it, and nobody to argue with.
So how do you feel then on the day of a competition when you see your trophies being handed out to someone?
Well, I'm pleased. What pleases me more is people coming up and looking at the trophies before the competition. People who've come up and said, I presented this trophy in memory of my mother or my father 20 odd years ago, and to show it to them again, that means a lot to me as well, you know, that these trophies are still being looked after year after year. And so, all right, sometimes they get damaged, sometimes they have to be replaced, sometimes have to be repaired, but it's nice to be able to show. I mean, there's one gentleman here today who presented a trophy on behalf of his parents 24 years ago, and I was able to pick it out and show it to him, and it brought tears to his eyes, you know. So
Would that be the oldest trophy that you have today?
today probably would be the oldest trophy we have in the branch is a Drummond Trophy for the All Ireland Championships, which was first donated in 1947. So that's the oldest one I'm aware of, you know, that's still doing the rounds in the competitions, you know. But the oldest one today would probably be 20, 30 years old, you know.
And do you still have new trophies presented then from time to time?
Yes, year to year we have trophies presented in memories of loved ones, you know, and so we replace them sometimes with trophies of, maybe if they've been presented by the branch, we can withdraw them, but we'd like to keep out the memorial ones, you know, so we get it every year. We haven't so many this season, but we do get maybe half a dozen per year, you know. So
Have you ever lost a trophy?
personally, no. And it gives me great credit whenever a band comes to me and says, oh, we've handed that in. And I says, well, I haven't got it. And then all of a sudden, after weeks of chasing after him, it turns up, you know, but I haven't personally lost a trophy yet.
Okay, thanks very much.
Pleasure.
Thank you.